All it takes is one picture of a good-looking stranger to change your life forever. 1 minute, you could be slumped on the sofa, mindlessly swiping left, and the next, you could swipe the other way, get a match and be heading off on a first date with the future love of your life. This is exactly what happened for both Cecilie Fjellhøy and Pernilla Sjoholm, or at least, so they thought. For these two women and numerous others, what started out as a search for love eventually spiraled into an ongoing nightmare of deceit, manipulation, and eye-watering amounts of debt. In January 2018, 29-year-old self-proclaimed Tinder expert, Fjellhøy was swiping through the dating app looking for something to pique her interest when she came across Simon Leviev's profile. Tanned, dressed in Louis Vuitton, sitting inside a private jet, Leviev, whose Tinder profile stated he was also aged 29, had the look Fjellhøy would typically be attracted to. He had the package, she tells me over Zoom, reeling off the qualities: vulnerable, super funny, normal, that first drew her to the Israeli. After they had exchanged a couple of messages, Leviev invited her to meet him for a coffee date in the lobby of the Four Seasons Hotel in London, where he was staying while in the capital for business. Leviev told Fjellhøy that he was the CEO of LLD Diamonds, a diamond company previously owned by his father, Lev Leviev, once dubbed the King of Diamonds by Forbes. A quick Google of the businessman's name and a scroll through his photos, which included one of him seemingly standing next to Lev Leviev, and the claim appeared to be substantiated. At the end of the date, the billionaire invited her to join him on a private jet to Sofia, Bulgaria, where he had work. They later spent the night together. I always fall in love very quickly, Fjellhøy admits. When I first meet the one, or the one I think is the one, I don't need to date them for several months. I'm very trusting if I feel something is right. 2 months later, Leviev asked Fjellhøy to move him in with him in London, and tasked her with finding their future flat with a £11,000 monthly budget. One night in April 2018, however, Fjellhøy picked up her phone to see a message from Leviev. Blood, the message read. Peter, hurt, read another, accompanied by a photo of his security guard Peter's head splattered with blood. I always fall in love very quickly. Leviev claimed that the pair had been ambushed by his enemies, who had intended to kill him. Out of danger, but still fearing for his safety, Leviev told his girlfriend that his security team suggested he stopped using his credit cards in case he was being traced by his assailants. As a result, the supposed billionaire asked his partner of only 4 months to use her credit cards and encouraged her to sign over her American Express card to him. After increasing the card's limit, flying to Amsterdam to give him more than £20,000 in cash, Fjellhøy taking out a loan to make it possible, and facing increasing demands for more money from Leviev, he finally gave her a check for over £369,000, $500,000, to pay back the money he'd borrowed, and more. But when she tried to cash the check, it bounced. She was soon contacted by American Express investigators who, upon hearing her story, told her Leviev wasn't who he claimed to be. Unbeknown to Fjellhøy, Leviev was employing the same scheme with Swedish former sales employee Sjoholm. Flying her from Stockholm to Amsterdam for a coffee date after matching on Tinder in March 2018, the pair agreed they didn't feel a romantic spark, but would like to be friends. He was a nice person to be around, she says, describing their friendship as a brother-sister relationship. Months passed and the pair enjoyed holidays to Mykonos and Rome, 5-star hotels, and lavish nights out. Little did Sjoholm know that Fjellhøy was footing the bill. Today, the two women are chatting to me from a hotel room via Zoom. Both dressed in colorful silk shirts, Fjellhøy in gray, Sjoholm in pink, the two blonde Scandinavians could be mistaken for sisters, for more than just their appearance. We've become good friends because we're both very caring humans, says Sjoholm of her close friendship with Fjellhøy. This is a quality he hunted. In the years since learning about Leviev's scam, the pair have visited each other's hometowns, enjoyed holidays together and regularly feature on each other's Instagram pages. Oslo-born Fjellhøy, now 33, has been living in London for 5 years and currently works as a user experience designer. Sjoholm, 35, is based in Stockholm and looking for a new job, a well-paid job, she laughs while setting up a cleaning product line. The pair met while working with the Norwegian newspaper VG to expose the truth of Leviev's con, after learning they'd both been swindled out of hundreds of thousands of pounds to fund his exuberant lifestyle in a Ponzi scheme-like structure. He'd use one victim's money to fund the courting of the next, and so on. The story of Leviev's con and its aftermath for victims forms the basis of the new Felicity Morris directed, of Don't FK with Cats fame, Netflix documentary The Tinder Swindler. In 2019, Leviev, born and known to the authorities in several counties as Shimon Hayat, was arrested in Greece after another one of his victims, Netherlands-based Aileen Charlotte, uncovered some of his lies and concocted a plan to swindle him out of money by selling his designer clothing on eBay before contacting Interpol to inform the organization of his whereabouts. Leviev was later extradited to Israel, where he was sentenced to 15 months in prison in Tel Aviv for theft and fraud charges dating back to 2011, charges unrelated to the aforementioned women's claims. It's worth noting that 4 years earlier he'd served a 2-year prison sentence for aggravated fraud in Finland after stealing money from 3 women, after which he changed his name to Simon Leviev. Despite being locked up in an Israeli prison, Sjoholm claims Leviev continued to send her threats from a mobile phone, telling her, "You are going to pay." Fjellhøy claims he also had the gall to launch a civil lawsuit against her and Sjoholm. And just 5 months after his imprisonment, he was set free. At present, Leviev lives in Israel, has a model girlfriend and continues to boast about his designer clothes and Rolls-Royce-filled lifestyle on social media. His Instagram account at Simon_Leviev_official is private, but is followed by over 97,000 users. He declined to participate in the Netflix documentary, but did send voice notes to the filmmakers in which he denies the women's claims of fraud and threatens legal action. It's still unclear how many women Leviev has conned over the years, but, from the numerous voice notes from those who claim to have been swindled by the Israeli that feature at the end of the documentary, the number is likely to be in the hundreds. What's most remarkable about the success of his con is the fact he didn't make his victims fall for him by buying them material possessions, as one might assume, rather by striking up deep emotional connections with them. He was an adapter, Sjoholm says of Leviev. He would adapt to become that person you want to know. Unfortunately, the suffering didn't stop when he was behind bars. In fact, it was just beginning. After learning of Leviev's con, Fjellhøy checked herself into a psychiatric ward, and both women have admitted to having felt suicidal because of the pain they've endured. As for their finances, Sjoholm says she gave Leviev all of her savings, is unable to own her home and continues to pay legal fees. "We're still fighting. We still have the aftereffects of all this trauma that we went through," she adds. Approximately, he took between £50,000 and £60,000 from me. I can never go into my accounts and look at the exact amount because it's too traumatizing. Fjellhøy, meanwhile, is bankrupt and in over £200,000 of debt. She says she's been taken to court by 4 banks, has 8 creditors currently chasing her for payment, and her debt continues to accumulate. "I'm the only one who has been a defendant in court," she says of the victims. She also claims to be unable to return to her home country for fear of creditors in Norway. "You experience true anxiety and panic attacks from checking your emails and letters because you never wanted to be in this situation and scared of debt collectors." Sjoholm interjects. "You have your life organized, everything is good, and then this totally destroys your life." While the women are clearly devastated by Leviev's lies even 4 years on, the pair regularly appear close to tears on the call. They're also frustrated by the actions of the banks, and lack thereof, from the authorities. Fjellhøy claims she reported Leviev to the authorities in May 2018, but only had her phone taken in for evidence the following April. "They are ruthless," she says of the bank's behavior towards the two of them. Sjoholm continues, noting that even when Fjellhøy was at her lowest, mentally, her mother asked the banks to stop calling her daughter and speak to her in the first instance. "They refused. They would just call and harass her," says Sjoholm. "This is the reason why people commit suicide. Nobody cares, as long as they get their money, they don't care why this happened." Fjellhøy says that one of the banks she'd taken a loan out with wrote off her debt, and one of its employees even appeared as a witness in one of her court cases. He said, "I don't understand what the banks are on about. We have insurance for these kinds of situations." She recalled of their shared confusion over the bank's insistence to chase payment from her. The pair believe that sexism has a huge role to play in their experiences, not only in how Leviev got away with his con for so many years, but also in the way they've been treated since. "If a woman cons a man, it's like, poor man, evil woman," says Sjoholm. "If it's a woman who gets conned by a man, it's like, stupid woman, blame yourself." As a society, we love victim shaming. We don't blame the criminal. We blame the victim. During the documentary, the pair, who say they've been referred to as gold diggers, Since speaking out about Leviev's con, touch on how they know some viewers may think them naive or stupid to give away money to someone they met on Tinder. I'm going to be completely honest. Before this happened to me, I was like, oh, my god, this would never happen to me, Sjoholm says, before Fjellhøy admits to having been judgmental of those who have been conned prior to her experience. We really want to take away this victim shaming. It's so important to not blame a victim because someone who's been through this type of journey really needs love and support more than ever, and to have someone to talk to and get help, adds Sjoholm. What viewers might be surprised to learn is that Fjellhøy has returned to Tinder and is still on the search for love. This type of scam has nothing to do with online dating, she explains, joking that it was a lifeline as a single woman during the pandemic. Sjoholm agrees with her friend. We have severe trust issues and really bad days, she says, but we can't go around mistrusting everyone. It's not like we can send out private detectives for every new person we meet in life, or go around thinking that everyone is out to harm yous. Ahead of the documentary's release, I ask Fjellhøy and Sjoholm what their hope is for the future. Fjellhøy, who is now the founder of the nonprofit organization Reaction, which aims to support individuals impacted by fraud, wants their experiences to help create legislation to protect others who may find themselves in similar situations in the future. There wasn't a single law that could have protected me from this type of scam, she says. Sjoholm hopes that by speaking out about their experiences, they'll be able to make a positive change. We honestly just want our lives back and to have a morning or go to bed and not have to worry about the mail, to have a little bit of peace, calm and happiness, she says. The Tinder Swindler is available to watch on Netflix.